Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. Um, I'm going to share with you why I chose fear and change to be our first topics. Um, November of 2020, I found out that my mom was sick. December 2020, we were notified that it was stage 3 stomach cancer. January, end of January 2021, it was upgraded to a stage 4. Um, and mom went about living her life as best she could while we waited for appointments and everything else. Um, I live in Phoenix, Arizona. She lived in Madison, Wisconsin. There was 1,800 miles between the two of us. I talked to her multiple times a day, checking on her and just talking to her. And when the time came, I was gonna go back and take care of her. Um, December or March 10th, 2021, she called me that morning, and she had been in the hospital for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days at that point. She wasn't able to um, even take a sip of water to take her heart medication that she needed because, well, we'd later find out that her whole stomach was just a tumor. Um, so they put a PICC line in her and some IVs, and she was in the hospital for a while. On March 10th, that morning, I started working and she called me. I could tell by her voice that something wasn't right. And I said, "Are you okay, Mom?" And she goes, "Danielle, I think it's time that you come home." I said, "Okay, let me get everything packed up. I'll be on the road in a couple of hours." So I logged out of DoorDash and I went home. And I loaded everything up and I drove back the 1,800 miles um, to Wisconsin. Cried the whole time because I was terrified. The fear that ran through me, all I could think was, I'm not ready to bury my mother. I'm not ready to say goodbye to my mother. This can't be happening now. I cried the whole way there. I arrived there. Um, we met with her medical team, and they gave us the lowdown on what was going on. Um, Needless to say, she stayed in the hospital for 15 days. She had gastric bypass surgery, so she could at least eat something and drink something. Um, she went home. She was put on OT and PT for about a month. Um, when she got out of the hospital, she really couldn't walk without the walker. Getting up out of a chair was a struggle for her. She had lost so much weight, and she was just so weak. Um, the last 6.5 weeks of her life, um, she laid in bed and wasn't awake for more than maybe 10, 15 minutes at a time. During that time, anytime she wanted something to eat or drink, even if she could only take 2 bites or 2 sips, I would always make sure that I'd get it for her. Towards the end, um, she ended up in hospice because we couldn't get her medications regulated. Every time we would think we'd get them under control, we'd have to up the dose a lot more, and it just wasn't working. So she went into hospice. She died on June 15th, 2021. Um, when they pass away in hospice, anybody who's working that is free, they line up down the hallway and they play a song of my choosing. And I got to hold her hand while they rolled her out to the funeral vehicle to pick her up. And I cried hysterically because the only thing that ran through my head was, this is the last time I will ever walk on this earth with my mother again. Um, and then the rest of it was just a hazy blur. Getting the funeral arrangements taken care of, getting her apartment packed up and and everything gone through, and I still had to drive back to Phoenix 1,800 miles with her cats. Um, During that time, there was so much fear and so much change, and every time you would get adjusted to the new change, there'd be more things that came. You didn't have time to sit and think about the change or the fear that you were going through. You just kept moving and going through it as you could, as best you could. Um, the thing that I learned with my mother's passing and all that fear and change was the pain that I felt when she passed was greater than any pain I've ever felt in my life. Um, I can tell you that I had a huge epiphany, and anybody who ever did me wrong in the past, any of my exes or anything, I literally forgave in that very moment, because all the pain anybody has ever caused me was really nothing compared to the pain of losing her. So I had to come back out here, um, and I had to figure out how to start life without my mother, and I talked to her all the time, every day. Um, and I knew that that was going to be very difficult. For quite a few months, I was pretty distraught. I was working, I was still functioning, just at a level of numbness. Um, I'm thankful that I had my Aunt Jackie, my mother's sister, would call me regularly. We talked regularly on the phone. She would call me at night, like my mom, and I would talk. Uh, she was very instrumental at helping out. And I had decided that I used to joke with my mother all the time that I was going to buy an RV and I was going to come pick her and the cats up and we were going to go travel the country. And she's like, oh, I would love that. Well, I didn't get that opportunity while she was still here, although I did decide rents were getting outrageous here, so I did buy an RV. And Mom's ashes are here with us, and she gets to travel with us. So it's me and the three dogs. Um, but fear and change were two things that just kept coming. There was no controlling it. There was no, you had to deal with it. And how was I going to deal with it? I didn't want to have her have to take care of me, with me being hysterical and upset that I was losing her. So I really tried to not allow her to take care of me. I had great friends and wonderful sons that were there when I needed them. And my future daughter-in-law, Mackenzie, was phenomenal, but she was also losing her mother at the same time. Um, but this is why I decided to talk about fear and change. Uh, because I'm still learning to adapt to the two. Fear, I know, is of the unknown, and I'm I know that when there's fear, if there's no danger involved, then I know that that's where I need to head towards. Um, Partly why this channel is here, because, well, I'm usually kind of a pretty private person, but we're gonna throw it all out here, and maybe somebody else that goes through some of this stuff can be soothed that they're not the only ones, and maybe we can build a wonderful soul tribe, a soul family of people that are compassionate and kind, and want to know that it's not all gloom and crap out there, like we're all told, like it's bombarded with news and everything else. So with that said, I hope you have a wonderful night. If you have anything that you would like to share, any topics you would like us to discuss, feel free to put something down in the comments, and we can gladly do a video on it. I look forward to sharing our life experiences together. Do I miss my mother to death? Oh, 100%. But I don't cry like I used to. And the one thing that I learned was that there was no pain greater than the pain of losing my mother. And that put a lot of things into perspective for me. So, if any of you out there are struggling and having a difficult time dealing with anything, whatever the pain is, doesn't matter how insignificant it seems. Pain is pain. And the truth is if you're dealing with any, I'm very sorry that you are. Please feel free to reach out. I will gladly sit with you in silence, listen to you cry or vent or laugh with you, whatever. Um, just know that you're not alone. We're not alone in this world. There's a lot of us who are kind and compassionate and loving, and I think we should reach out to each other and be supportive of each other. And the internet allows us to reach farther places than we ever would before it. Good night, guys.